You ever walk into a room and feel the whole damn air shift? Not because you said something, not because you even moved, but because your silence dragged something ancient in behind you. Yeah, that. See, I didn't come here to play the part. I came here to burn the script. Analyze me. Try decoding lightning while it tears your roof off. Oh, they keep watching, rewinding, whispering behind glass. But I'm not some thesis they'll ever finish. I'm the reason the experts go quiet, the move they didn't see coming, the consequence of every moment they thought I was weak. You want an origin story? It started when I stopped explaining myself, when I chose chaos over comfort, when I let the darkness teach me. This isn't motivation, this is a warning. Get ready, because I'm done walking soft. Now I run the narrative. And trust me, there's no next chapter for them. They didn't see you, huh? They looked through you like you were invisible. Like your breath didn't matter. Like your voice was background noise in a room where they were the only ones allowed to speak. You know what that feels like, don't you? That bitter sting when your efforts dissolve like smoke. When no one claps. When no one nods. Oh, the silence was louder than their rejection. It screamed into your ribs. It made you question your place in the world. You gave everything, your time, your heart, your soul, and they gave you nothing. That shit hurts in ways people don't talk about. It doesn't just break your heart. It shatters your identity. It makes you feel like a ghost walking through your own life. And yet here you are. You didn't stay broken. Nah, broken was just the stage before becoming dangerous. But back then, you were just learning. You didn't even know what power looked like, let alone how it felt in your chest. All you knew was that it was missing. You watched them succeed with fake smiles and hollow confidence. You watched them lie their way to the top. And you were honest. You were real. You had fire in your gut and tears in your eyes. And they still didn't see you. So you shrank. You dulled your edges. You tried to fit. And what did that bring you? More silence. More damn invisibility. But the truth is, you were never meant to fit. You were meant to fracture the system. You were born to burn the blueprint and rewrite the damn game. You weren't overlooked because you were weak. No, you were overlooked because your light threatened them. Before it ever fully lit up, they saw something raw, unfinished, but dangerous. And instead of embracing you, they ignored you. That was their first mistake. There were nights when you wanted to disappear. Don't lie. Nights where you stared at the ceiling asking the universe, why me? Nights where your chest felt like it was imploding under the weight of failure. Your hands shaking, your breath shallow. You didn't want attention. You just wanted acknowledgement. A simple nod that said you matter. But you got silence, rejection, laughter behind your back. They're not good enough. They'll never make it. Haha. How's that for motivation? You internalized their words until they became knives. Every sentence a scar, every insult a stone on your back. But something else was growing inside that pain. Slowly, quietly, like roots in the dark. You didn't see it yet, but it was forming. Grit, a fire, a refusal. It began when you realized no one was coming to rescue you. No applause was coming, and that's when it hit you. If the world won't validate you, you'll validate yourself. If no one's watching, then good. Let them miss the moment you become untouchable. You were broken. Yes, shattered too. But those pieces, you held on to them. You studied them like map. And piece by jagged piece, you built yourself a new version. One that no one could break again. One they wouldn't see coming. You wore your scars like armor. You stitched your worth into your spine. You whispered to yourself, they will regret this. They will remember what they ignored. This section, this isn't sadness. This is the birth of your rage. This is the moment the storm starts brewing. Inside your bones, inside your mind, Inside every silent scream you turned into strategy. This is you being unseen, right before you become unforgettable. Revenge doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it creeps in, quiet, cold, calculated. Not every war is fought with fists or fury. Some are fought in silence, in the stare that holds back 1,000 screams, in the smile that hides a storm. And oh, the silence you carried. That wasn't weakness. It was weaponry. It was your war cry sharpened through restraint. You didn't slam doors, you left them open. You didn't shout when they doubted you. You whispered to yourself, just wait. They thought your silence meant surrender. Oh, how foolish of them. You watched them laugh, didn't you? While you built. You watched them celebrate while you bled behind closed doors. They mocked your pace. They called you irrelevant. They fell off. They're done. No, you were just loading. You were in the shadows learning the very system they thought you couldn't understand. You were watching them, their habits, their arrogance, their blind spots. You weren't gone. You were storing fire in your lungs, collecting blueprints in your brain. The silence was not your end, it was your incubation. And when they asked, "Where have you been?" you smiled, because the answer was too dangerous to speak. You were in the lab of your own rage. You were turning hurt into strategy. They were flexing online and you were building in the dark. You didn't need attention. You needed control. Control of your energy, your time, your future. You weren't proving anyone wrong. You were proving yourself right. Revenge doesn't rush. It waits. It studies. It watches the enemy grow comfortable. And when it strikes, it doesn't just land. It shakes foundation. You didn't come back to compete. You came back to redefine. They thought you were going to show up the same way you left. Nah. You came back upgraded, cold, untouchable. The silence they once dismissed became the echo in their heads. It haunted them because they knew the one who says nothing is the one planning everything. You didn't write long posts. You didn't beg to be heard. You let your results speak when they least expected it. You let your success hit them like a slap in the face. And when it did, when they finally looked up and saw what you'd become, it was too late. Your silence had already won. Your absence had already choked their comfort. You didn't even have to say, "I told you so." Your presence said it all. The beautiful thing about silent revenge, they don't see it coming. They forget you. They delete you from the story. They move on until you reappear in a way they can't ignore. Until the headlines carry your name. Until the whispers are about you again. But this time not in pity. In fear. In awe. In confusion. How the hell did they do that? Where did that come from? Oh, it came from pain. Pain you digested, turned into blueprints and weaponized. You gave them peace while you planned chaos. You fed them silence while you forged dominance. And now they have to live with it. That you rose without them. That you got there without screaming. That your silence, that cold, brutal silence, was never empty. It was electric. It was humming with danger. They analyzed your absence, but they never understood the comeback. This wasn't revenge to hurt them. This was revenge to remind them that what they ignored became the one thing they can't outrun. Power was never gifted to you. You didn't inherit it. You weren't born into it. You earned it in the dirtiest, darkest trenches of your own pain. This isn't the kind of power you post online. No. This is that underground power. That raw, Ruthless energy built from every single breakdown you had to survive on your own. Huh. They think power is about loudness, huh? No. Real power is silent. It sits in your eyes. It vibrates in your bone. It shows up in how you walk into a room. No explanations. No apologies. Oh, if only they knew what it took. The nights you clenched your fists under the covers, fighting tears you told no one about. The mornings where even getting out of bed felt like dragging a mountain behind you. That rage in your chest, it wasn't just pain. It was potential. A ticking time bomb of transformation waiting to explode. And you didn't ignore it. You tapped into it. You took the darkness, stared it dead in the face and said, "You're mine now." That takes guts. That takes guts. They'll never understand. You weren't built in peace. You were forged in fire. You weren't polished in applause. You were sculpted in silence. And that silence wasn't empty. It was your classroom. Your isolation wasn't a weakness. It was a laboratory. While they chased validation, you studied your scars. You made peace with the pain. And once you did that, you unlocked a level of power most people are terrified to even speak of. Because it's not the kind that can be bought, borrowed, or faked. It's earned. Through agony, through repetition, through nights where quitting seemed easier than breathing. This power, it comes from owning your demons, not escaping them. It comes from looking at your flaws, your madness, your guilt, and saying, "Yeah, that's me. And now I'm gonna use." You don't pretend to be pure. You don't fake perfection. You walk with every scar visible. And that's what makes you unshakable. Because the world can't blackmail someone who's already exposed themselves to the mirror. They can't shame someone who made peace with their shame. You wear your shadow like armor, and they don't know how to fight that. You didn't just unlock power, you built a furnace. And now you walk differently. You speak less. You observe more. You don't fight every battle. You choose them with precision, with intent. You don't scream your greatness. You move like it. They feel it in your silence. They sense it in your presence. That's dark power, not evil, not cruel, but unstoppable, relentless, controlled chaos. And don't get it twisted, they'll try to poke it. They'll test you, try to trigger the old version of you, the emotional one, the desperate one. Poor them, that version's dead. You killed that part to protect your evolution, and now you're untouchable. Because when you mastered the inner battlefield, you became immune to outer noise. You don't need their opinions. You don't even need their apologies. You're past it, way past it. This dark power, it's not just for survival. It's for domination. It's not for clout. It's for legacy. And the best part, it was always inside you. Just buried, hidden, waiting. And now it's awake, fully. Let them try to stop you now. They feared chaos because they never understood it. They ran from it. Tried to avoid it, tried to label it as failure, madness, destruction. But you didn't run. You sat with it. You studied its rhythm, its unpredictability, its patterns inside the storm. You let the world spin around you while you stood still, staring into the center of the cyclone. And that's when it happened. You didn't escape chaos. You mastered it. And the moment you did that, you became unstoppable. You see, chaos isn't the enemy. Chaos is just the absence of control. And once you stop needing control, once you accept that life will burn, shake, scream, and twist without warning, you begin to operate differently. You stop fearing the unknown. You become the unknown. While they were busy trying to make everything perfect, you learned how to move inside mess. They followed order, you followed instinct. They followed scripts, you followed feeling. They clung to structure and you laughed because you knew the structure was never built for you anyway. They tried to study you like a machine, predict your next move, calculate your behavior. But how do you predict someone who thrives in unpredictability? That's why you're dangerous. You're not tied to logic anymore. You're not limited by rules. You create the rules, and then you break them. Again and again, not to rebel, but to remind the world you can't be mapped. You're chaos with a compass, fire with direction, storm with purpose. And let me tell you, mastering chaos doesn't mean your life is easy. Hell no. It means you walk through fire without blinking. It means when everything falls apart, you don't collapse. You calculate. It means when emotions spike, when circumstances shift, when nothing makes sense, you don't freeze. You flow. You adapt faster than they can react. You strike before they even know there's a war happening. You became the glitch in their system, the bug in their matrix, the variable in their perfect little equation. And every time they thought they had you cornered, boom, you changed the entire game. That's the power of chaos. It gives you leverage. They expect linear. You give them lightning. They expect calm. You bring thunder. And guess what? Chaos doesn't just build resilience, it builds dominance. Because now when things go wrong, and they will, you don't panic, you pivot, you dance inside it. When others drown, you swim deeper. When the storm hits, you smile because you know this is your terrain, this is your home field. They can't match your moves because their comfort zones have limits. Yours were burned down a long time ago. And that unpredictability, that's not carelessness. That's power. That's what makes kings from the ruins. That's what makes legends from the overlooked. You are chaos weaponized. You are madness molded into momentum. You are the embodiment of what they can't control. And that scares the hell out of them. So let them panic. Let them chase structure and sanity. Let them crumble when the plan shifts. Not you. You're the storm and the eye. You're the collapse and the architect. You don't just survive chaos. You command. And every time they try to trap you, to define you, to guess your next play, they'll realize too late. You're not part of their system. You're the force that shreds it. They thought you were rising just to get even, huh? Just to prove a petty point. Oh ho. No. That's where they miscalculate. You're not here to settle scores. You're here to rewrite reality. You're not some comeback story. You're the next blueprint. This time you're not rising out of desperation. You're rising with precision, with hunger that doesn't burn out, with focus that doesn't blink. This is no rebound. This is reinvention. Huh. They thought you were broken, but what they didn't realize is you weren't broken. You were shedding. You were evolving. You don't just want to succeed anymore. That's old fuel. You want to dominate. You want to execute so ruthlessly, so methodically, that even your shadows seem more focused than their best selves. That's the kind of hunger we're talking about. The kind that doesn't scream. It sharpens. It studies. It builds quietly. That's the scary kind. The kind they can't track. Because it's not loud. It's not public. It's just dangerously alive. You rise with new eyes now. You don't react emotionally anymore. You calculate. You see things for what they are. You've been betrayed, left out, mocked, doubted. But now you know the pattern. Now you see how they move, how they lie, how they break under pressure. You studied them while they laughed. You observed them while they overlooked you. And now you know where to strike, not out of hate, but out of cold, clear clarity. There's a difference between being hurt and being ignited. They hurt you, and instead of breaking, you caught fire. That fire didn't blind you, it enlightened you. It showed you every weakness in your past version, every blind spot, every place where you were soft, where you needed applause, where you begged for acceptance. That version is dead. Gone, buried. You didn't improve, you transformed. Hunger is a beautiful thing when it's disciplined, and now yours is. You don't chase everything. You don't compete for crumb. You want the whole throne. But not because of ego, because of vision. Because now you know what you're capable of. The way your mind works. The way your energy shifts rooms. You don't want trophies. You want territory. You want your name to echo in spaces they said you'd never enter. Not because they need to hear it, but because you need to leave your mark. You're not smarter just because you learned more. You're smarter because you feel deeper now. You sense betrayal before it arrives. You smell lies before they're spoken. You've trained in the fire of failure. You've read the language of disappointment. You walk with experience. And experience is a weapon, far more dangerous than confidence. Because now, you know where not to waste energy. You know which doors deserve a knock, and which ones deserve to be burned down. Hunger makes you move differently. You don't get distracted. You don't get petty. You stay locked in, because this version of you, this version is lethal. This version walks into rooms and shifts gravity. This version doesn't chase respect. It commands it, not by shouting, but by moving so precisely that people start to adjust their entire reality to keep up with you. So let them talk, let them watch, let them try to understand. They won't, because what's driving you now isn't visible. It's not explainable. It's raw, calculated ambition, dipped in silence, powered by scars, aimed at the impossible. You don't just rise anymore, you ascend. You remember those rooms, don't you? The ones where your silence felt louder than their laughter. The ones where your absence was mocked like weakness. Where your stillness was mistaken for surrender. They thought you were done. They thought you gave up. They thought your silence meant you were too weak to speak. But let's be real here. Silence isn't weakness. It's a warning shot. It's the sound right before the storm, and the ones who mocked it, they're now choking on it, because that same silence became the most terrifying response they never saw coming. You see, they measured you by noise. They needed you to react, to argue, to scream, but you didn't give them that satisfaction. Instead, you turned inward. You built, you grew, you watched quietly. You let the pain burn you, but you didn't scream. You just sat with it like a man sharpening his blade in a cave while the world laughs outside. That silence, it wasn't fear. It was patience. And now the ones who once mocked it, they're haunted by it. Every move you make, every win you take, echoes back to them in the silence they once laughed at. Seriously, what's more terrifying than the one who speaks? The one who doesn't. The one who doesn't explain, doesn't defend, doesn't ask for validation. You became that. You became a storm with no thunder, just impact. You stopped justifying yourself. You stopped giving them access to your energy. And when they finally realized that silence wasn't a retreat, it was a rebuild, they panicked. You were never behind. You were just quiet, and quiet was always your power. Because the loudest ones in the room, often the weakest, the most insecure. But you've got that dangerous kind of calm now, the kind that destroys without warning. There's something unnerving about someone who's been hurt, yet never begs for closure, never argues, never posts about it, just disappears, only to return on a whole different level. That's you. That's what you did. You used their mockery as motivation. You took those empty rooms, that cold silence, and you made them your gym, your war room, your sanctuary. They were too loud to hear their own fears. You were so silent you could hear everything. You picked up on their weakness while they underestimated yours. You studied the game in silence. And now you're rewriting the rules. And now they're uncomfortable. They don't know how to face this version of you. The one that doesn't need revenge because your existence is revenge. The one that doesn't need applause because your silence echoes louder than their noise ever did. Let them choke, let them tremble, let them feel the weight of every moment they thought you were done. Because that silence they laughed at, that was the most strategic, dangerous, powerful move you ever made. And now it's their punishment. You didn't need to clap back. You didn't need to prove them wrong with words. You proved them wrong with existence. And that's the kind of power no one teaches you. That's the kind of strength only pain births. Keep walking, silently. Let them feel the void you left behind. Let them wrestle with the memory of you not reacting, not replying, not begging, just building. And when they finally realize what that silence really meant, it'll be too late, because by then you're no longer reachable. You've become the ghost of their underestimation, a living echo of their failure to understand. Please like, comment, and subscribe to Twist Mind if this hit your